Thursday night, we're back. Law and Sporter. It's Justin Watkins from Battleborn Injury Lawyers. Adam Hill, co-field. Much to get to tonight. This is the last Law and Sporter before the election. So we're going to go over some betting odds because we all like gambling, and there's some interesting stuff, especially in the swing states. And we'll find out if all of your mail-in votes will be eradicated, will be erased, will be voided, as DJT was suing in Clark County, but that's coming up in just a little bit. So maybe all your votes don't count. I voted in person. I think my votes will count. I actually reached out to, you don't know this, Adam, but I reached out to Justin like 6 hours after I voted. I'm like, where can I check? Is my vote in or not? Where can I check? And he got confused for a second. He's like, mail-in ballot? I'm like, no, I voted in person. Let's go.
We got to figure it out.
We did.
Just want to make sure they recorded it that you're a voter.
Yeah,
I want to make sure. I wanted to make sure I did it correctly, and there was actually a younger group at the spot, younger group of election volunteers, and I want to rip the volunteers because, that is a tough gig, especially if people coming in are all cantankers. But I don't exactly trust everyone in the process.
It's kind of, I guess, funny is not the right word. It's kind of weird though because I feel like every election volunteer I've ever seen is at least 90.
They were younger this time.
Yeah. I know a lot of people who have volunteered at the polls. One really good friend, but for the audience's standpoint, you can check your name against the voter rolls if you vote in person. The next day it'll be posted, so you can check it out against the Clark County registers. They'll show you the Secretary of State. But yeah, I have a real good friend who's working the polls. She's been doing it almost every day. So I asked her, I was like, hey, how are the volunteers? And she said, yeah, there's lots of younger volunteers this time. Yeah. And I said, is everybody pretty respectful or is there some nonsense? And she said, no, everybody's pretty good. Everybody seems to be wearing the mask. They all seem to be generally respectful. She said, I did have one guy come up and the first question I'm supposed to ask is old gentleman is like, okay, what's your preferred language? And then they give him the correct card or whatever it was. And he's like, where's American? She's like, sir, that's not a language.
Oh my God.
He didn't like that response. And she said that was the only thing. And I think she's done every day of early voting. So that's a lot of good days.
Nice. I didn't have enough time in line to play Adam's game of guessing who people were voting for. My line was like 5 deep. We were in within like 3 minutes. It's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, you can play the game is instantaneous. I don't understand how you don't play the game. It's like it's automatic. It's instinctual to play the game. I mean, you see somebody in front of you, you're like, they with me or are they against me?
I went down in cargo shorts. It was 56 degrees and windy. I went down in cargo shorts and I was wearing your camouflage hat to try to throw people off.
Love it.
Like, look at this short fat ass goob. We know where he's going.
Always on brand, baby. Always with the Battleborn.
So we have discussed, right, like that the voting records are public. Not who you vote for, but the fact that you did vote.
Correct.
I was having a conversation today about contributions. Yep. That is also kind of public, right? So
not kind of. It is.
Well, I thought the Supreme Court decision made it so that a lot of it can be hidden.
No, so not in the state of Nevada. If we're talking about a Nevada election, any contribution, whether it's to an individual candidate or a PAC, a political action committee, must be disclosed by both the contributor. That's incorrect. By the PAC or by the candidate. So you can look up anybody. I mean, if you want to know who contributed to any one candidate, you can go on there and find out. So yeah, there's now political action committees on the federal level. You don't get a contributor list, but the contributors are known in the federal filings because they have to be domestic. They can't be foreign money.
I forgot to even look for this. I don't know. Are there some out there because you can't video people like actually inside the polling place? Could you catch Karens flipping out outside? I mean, I would assume they'd have issues like the example that Justin brought up about an old guy being asked what language, and he's like American. You could see some Karen flipping out about, of course, English. There shouldn't even be other options, but you'd have to video inside the polling place. So unless you can get something outside, like I almost got hit by a truck pulling out after I had voted. And he had a certain sticker on, but like that's not like a Karen situation. He just wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, you actually can film in and around the polling area, but you can't film. You can't film your ballot. You can't film somebody else voting. But there are videos that are accessible by the public as part of the transparency of the voting and the early voting that the specific county will track. That's actually part of what the Trump's latest lawsuit is about. Is hey, our legal observers are not permitted to do the filming in the way that we want to film. And Clark County's response is, it's not up to you to determine how the filming is going to go. We film, and then we provide you the film if you so request. But you can't come rushing in here with cameras and do whatever you want, because people's privacy, right? Like you're allowed to observe what we do, but not how people vote, and that's kind of the line of distinction. And just to answer Ryan's or to respond to Ryan's comment about nobody looks at the contribution list, that's not true. Lots of people look at the contribution list, and each year the Nevada Independent does a follow the money, and they have like a infographic where it looks like a spider web of how all the different candidates connect to the same money sources and moves around. It's pretty informative, but just to burst everybody's bubbles, all the big players in town contribute to both sides. Like all the casinos contribute, not always, but for the most part, they're going to contribute to both sides, and they absolutely are going to contribute to an incumbent.
Adam, was Adelson the owner of the paper in the 2016 election? Yeah, I guess he was, right?
Yep, right before.
Because I thought you guys put out the contribution list, and both Dana White and Lorenzo Fertitta had contributed. But Dana White had also contributed. I mean, that was to Trump, and Dana had, I think, contributed to Harry Reid in the past. He considered Reid a big ally in the growth of MMA. So yeah, that list was public.
Yeah,
Bill I don't know if the
Foley,
somewhere.
Bill Foley actually in that, and I'm sorry, the 2018 gubernatorial election, he was seen publicly as sort of tight with Sisolak because Sisolak helped bring the Golden Knights there, but he actually contributed, I think, a 4-1 in favor of Laxalt through all of his various entities.
He's a good guy, Laxalt. Yeah. I'm glad he got some money.
Yeah. One of the reasons I even brought it up is that I'm actually trying to work on compiling all the sports figures in town and who they've contributed to.
Who do you think the biggest VGK player is in terms of contributing to Trump? Is it Bill the Wall guy?
Well, it's Foley. I mean, I'm not looking at athletes yet.
I said a player.
Most players can't because they're most aren't United States citizens, or So if they're Canadian citizens, they cannot contribute.
Bill the Wall guy's an American citizen, right? U.S. citizen.
Who's Bill the Wall?
Sure.
Who is that?
Your boy.
Who?
Why don't you say his name? We don't have to do a rhymes with it. You've said it like 10 times, and it was actually it was based on a Halloween costume a couple of years ago. It's Alex Tuck.
Yeah, it's Alex Tuck. I'm actually looking. Bill Foley. It's 10,000 the max.
10,000 the max.
So Bill Foley was Tennessee Republican election account, Mississippi Republican Party.
Oh, I don't know if that's the Nevada max. On a federal level, it's 2,700 for a primary, 5,400 for the general on a federal election.
Well, how about this one? Bill Foley to 1820 pack, $250,000.
To what pack?
1820 pack.
What was their mission? I don't know that pack.
Where are they from here?
Yeah, he's conservative, right? Like you're gonna. I think Sisolak was one of the few Democrats that he actually gave to, and like I said, he gave him about a quarter of what he gave Laxalt.
It's Republican conservative.
Yeah.
825, 10,000 to the Republican Committee of New Mexico, 10,000 to Republican Party of Wisconsin, 10,000 Republican Party of Minnesota. Let's see. $250,000 to the Gardner Victory Committee. $220,000 to NRSC Targeted State Victory. This is nuts. Every state, pretty much. He gave 10,000 to pretty much every state on the same day.
Yeah, Mark, we're going to get on that in a second. We're going to talk about the GOP Trump lawsuit. No, you're all right. Keep going.
Yeah. No, this is fascinating.
What about the message from Mangano? We talked about this the other day, but the mask and the political signs and all that, T-shirts, hats.
I think they could both show up, and that's okay.
You could wear the BLM mask, or you could wear the blue.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Neither one of it is campaigning for a particular candidate. Not campaigning even for a party, right? Just a cause. You're okay.
All right. So what is the lawsuit? And for all you who voted by mail, is your vote bye now because Trump won?
So, okay, first off, no, not in Nevada. That's not the case. But what's happening, I think there has been 21 suits throughout the country by the Trump campaign or the GOP parties in which they challenge extending the deadline for counting mail votes. And what the rule is in most states is that anything that's postmarked on election day or before and is received within 3 days is counted towards the final total. Some of the states, either through their election officials or otherwise, have moved it back because USPS has said we can't guarantee delivery within 3 days. We need 5 days or 7 days within 3 days. So they have moved those back, and those have been challenged in court. As you'll recall, Trump challenged it in Nevada. Our rule is actually, I'm surprised it won so cleanly. Postmarked, or if it's received within 3 days of the election with no postmark, it's assumed to have been mailed on or before the election day. That rule still stands. That's in place. The challenges to some of the states have made their way all the way to the United States Supreme Court. Pennsylvania and North Carolina, the Supreme Court on 5-3 decisions upheld the extension of those deadlines. Wisconsin, on the other hand, made it up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said that their extension was not okay. And so the one that was in place ruled the day. But to the lawsuit here in Nevada, this is the third lawsuit that Trump's campaigns has filed in regards to elections. They lost the first two on dismissals. What this lawsuit sought to do was stop counting of mail votes received by, United States mail in Clark County only, where, not coincidentally, Democrats, I should say, I don't know if they're voting for Trump or Biden, but we could talk about the data here in a little bit about historically what that early vote data means in Nevada. But Democrats are crushing Republicans on mail voting in Clark County. The Republicans are holding their own on early voting in person, actually slightly outpacing the Democrats, but the Democrats are absolutely just crushing mail vote. So they filed a lawsuit in Carson City seeking an injunction against the Clark County election officials that said two things. One, you don't let our observers observe what they want to observe, which is once you open the ballot and there's the secrecy folder, once you open the secrecy folder, you take it to another room and we don't know what happens to it, which by their own admission is compliant with statutory guidelines. The process is filmed, but voter identification and who the actual votes for are protected, so that obviously nobody's being no privacy is being violated. The second thing that they're saying is that what Clark County has instituted, and it's the only county in the state to do this because of the enormity of the number of votes that they're going to receive by mail, is they have a machine that they purchased in February in preparation, or that's not true, not February, in June, in preparation for the election, that you can run the ballots and the signature through the system, and the signatures on file, and the software will compare the signatures and will say, yep, match or not match. And you can adjust the sensitivity of that machine. And the ones that the machine pushes through and does not say are verified are then hand checked. On the current setting, it's a 0 to 100 setting. Clark County set it at 40. And what the GOP said is it should be set at 50, and you lowered it to 40 without consultation or consent of the parties that are involved, and therefore you violate statute. What Clark County says is there's actually no recommended setting level. You can set it at whatever you want, and their setting level, as corroborated by the Republican Secretary of State, the error rejection code or error rejection rate is equivalent to any other ballot software that's being used in the state. The only other one is Washoe and surrounding states. It's like 1.3%, which is, they say, is right within the margins. And that machine only captures about 30% of the vote. It spits through 70% for hand verification. So what Trump's campaign has said is you've got to stop that practice. You can't use the machine anymore. Everything needs to be hand verified, and we need to observe it. They filed for a preliminary injunction. The judge said no to the preliminary injunction, and yesterday have an evidentiary hearing, which means it's in essence a mini trial. There's live testimony under oath where the Secretary of State was heard. Some poll observers for the GOP were heard. And, Clark County election officials testified, and who knows exactly what's going to happen, but Judge Russell's been a judge for quite a while in Carson City. And he asked a kind of a specific question to the lawyers, which is, are you aware of any single case of fraud or a vote being counted that shouldn't have been counted, or a vote not counting that should have been counted? And the answer was no. And so I think that's pretty telling as to where this is going to go.
Could, in any of these cases in particular, I know the ones that you're talking about are specific about like the process, the machine kind of thing.
Yeah.
But in some of these that are, okay, are we going to accept a ballot that's mailed in? Are we going to accept this? What date are we going to do it? Like all of these different things that are going on.
Oh,
Could a judge say to, like, say the Republican side is the one bringing the suit? Usually they are. Could he say, okay, if you're behind on election night, would you still want to cut off all the mail-in voting count all the counting of the mail-in ballots? And if they were like, well, no, then just be like, okay, we're good then.
Yeah, but they never say no to that question, right? It's an obvious, like, we just want, I mean, the proper response is yes, we want all votes to be counted. That's why we're here. We're not here because we want to, we're not trying to win the election through the court. We're just trying to make sure that the people's voices are heard. And I should say, in regards to the other states that have these lawsuits going on, Pennsylvania and Michigan, their election officials on the state level have agreed that any ballots they receive after the date that are postmarked on the date of the election or before, they will segregate those so that if there is a legal challenge, it's ready to go, to which the GOP considers that a victory, because they're preserving evidence that they think will be helpful to them. And the Supreme Court sort of endorsed that opinion or that practice in the Pennsylvania case, which is sort of a weird thing, because it's like, hey, we're gonna say this rule is cool unless it matters, and then maybe it's not cool, right? If it matters to the outcome, then maybe we'll revisit it, and that's a little scary. That means they can affect the outcome.
So someone was asking earlier about, and then just had a follow up. Mark and LV was asking about this whole deal, the firm representing the GOP lawsuit against Nevada.
Yeah.
Any comment?
Not surprised. If you told me the GOP was going to file a lawsuit in Clark County or the state of Nevada, I could probably pick from about 5 firms that I would expect. I will say, Marquis Arbach coughing is not one of the usual ones, but I'm not surprised.
Good.
Now, how much we talked about this, Justin? It's not necessarily a legal issue necessarily, but I know you follow the political scene very closely. Somebody was ringing the alarm bells the other day about, we're all getting caught up in dates of mail-in ballots and signature checks and voter suppression and all these other things. And his case was, that's not what's going to happen. What's going to happen is only 29 states have rules where the electoral votes have to go to who wins the vote. Only 29 states. So in the other 21 states,
starting to freak out.
Yeah, in the other 21 states, the governor could just be like, no, go vote for the other guy. Like, is that a real concern? Like, is that something that you would be concerned about? Like no. Iowa being one of them.
I don't think. No, I think it's incredibly unlikely, and arguably it's never been tested, but arguably unconstitutional. So I read this long piece written by a constitutional scholar about all the potential different things that could happen in challenges on any normal election year, and then some of the additional ones that could happen in this election year with when Trump came down with COVID. And it's like, what happens now if people have already voted for him and he were to die? And so there's like 15 scenarios. And the issue about whether electoral college people can be bound or not bound and how that exactly would work against the will of the people has never truly been challenged because everybody ultimately complies. I mean, you have a rogue one here or there, but it's never affected the outcome of an election. And so it was this
is a whole new world.
Right. It was this scholar's opinion that the likelihood of something like that turning the election would be incredibly rare. And likely, we would be in a Bush v. Gore situation where the Supreme Court would be determining the outcome of the election. To which I know where you're going.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah,
I know.
Well, I don't think they would be wrong. Like, if there's no law saying that the electors are bound to the popular vote of the state, then I think the Supreme Court would be in their rights to say, yeah, that's according to the law, you're good.
Well, and arguably the Supreme Court could say that the states that bind the Electoral College to the votes of the people is unconstitutional. Go the other way.
Don't do this to me. Don't do this to me.
Did you mute me earlier because my dog was barking, Steve? Could you hear that dog barking?
I like the dog barking.
Possibly.
Yeah.
I just wanted to see where it was coming from. I figured Adam's dogs don't bark that loud, and I just have screaming cats here.
Yeah, I don't know. He heard somebody out there. He's not much of a barker, actually. But
can you tell that I'm terrified? I'm terrified about Tuesday. Well, not really Tuesday. The month after Tuesday.
The whole month. It's going to be Adam on freak out watch for a month.
I mean, I shouldn't say this. God, Jesus, I don't think it's going to. I don't think it's going to be close. But if it is, I'm terrified.
Then there's the next step, though, of Congress certifying the election results and whether or not they are bound by the Electoral College after that. So there's a whole bunch of steps on it. And I'm not a constitutional law professor, but I tend to think that we will have an answer, if not election night, within a day or two.
Really? All right.
I think so. I don't think I think if Nevada is any example, and it appears that it is, by the time that election day occurs, 75% of the vote's already going to be in. We're already at 65% right now. I mean, we're at just over 50% of active voters, but typically only 80% of active voters vote. So even if we shatter that record and we get to 90% of active voters vote, which seems unlikely because now we have automatic voter registration, so you would assume the number would actually slightly go down. We're well on our way to 70% of the vote being in by the time election day occurs.
I thought this headline, this story was interesting. You got more?
I was just to say, and that seems to be similar trends throughout the United States right now. That there's 180 some million votes have already been counted. So I mean, we're well on our way.
What do you think of this headline that this Dan Coates says Russia, in terms of interfering, is the New England Patriots of messing with elections?
Yeah, greatest of all time. Is that what he's saying? Or the cheaters?
Yeah, the cheaters. Adam, do you want to retract your? You feel safe that it's not going to be close? What if the Russian Patriots of Russia really get involved?
No, I'm saying the actual election's not going to be close. There's going to be shenanigans that make it close.
Right.
For sure.
No, I don't think he's saying they're cheaters. I think he's saying the Russians are the best at it. I think he's trying to say New England is the best.
They're also legitimate. I mean, they're cheating. Like, election interference is cheating.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, it's got to be a bad sign for Trump that he knows he's losing, that he's trashing Evan McMullin, right? Like, why the fuck is he going after Evan McMullin? He's not even running.
Just because McMullen's going after him.
Who cares? This is so ridiculous. I haven't even heard of that guy in like 2 years.
There's only like one spot where people really care about Evan McMullin, as far as I can tell, and that's Utah. Yeah.
Amazing.
But Biden's not winning Utah. So put that to bed. He is not my doppelganger, Sean. Come on, get out of here. Just because he's bald.
This is way too correct. We've already me and Steve have discussed this off the air.
What's this?
This comment. Oh, it's gone away again. This one.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen next week with Adam. I have no idea.
I am back.
You guys going to make it until the show will be done at 6:00, so the first results, in theory, will be coming in right about then.
Steve's not letting me do the show.
Well, I mean, obviously the results, the post game, or as we're getting results, you're welcome on Tuesday. I don't know how to handle you on Wednesday. What would you do, Justin? I mean, we're going to be at the BBBC, so you might need security there because he's going to try to bust in to come on the show. What would you do if you were the programmer, right? If you're the executive producer, is Adam in on Wednesday?
Hell yeah, it's a golden opportunity.
But I'm not allowed to say anything.
No. But
I didn't say that.
You know, I'm an avid listener, and so when not that you guys aren't always at the forefront of my mind, but I hadn't thought about, I want to hear Adam maybe melt down. It might be a little bit of pleasure that I can get from what would be a sad day if Biden loses, for me anyway. I know not everybody agrees, to then tune in and just hear the ultimate meltdown from Adam. So, yeah, I don't think you can pass it up. You got to have him on.
I mean, I think we do have listeners. If Trump wins, we have a lot of listeners who are going to want to hear Adam.
Yeah.
Well, I did vote for Trump, and I do still want him to win. Yeah. So
I want to hear from him.
I don't know that I believe that, but you did explain 6 months ago your philosophy on this. So,
well, how right was I though too? And I don't know if we're far enough in yet. So before the pandemic started, I said that the nation was on the verge of complete and total collapse. Like, we were going to completely fall apart. And I don't want him to be out and be like, oh, see, look what happened. I'm out, and the country fell apart. So I'm happy that it happened before he left, but I think we still have a long way to go. Like, I do think we still have a long way to go, because I think we're going to collapse no matter who's the president.
Rock bottom's not here.
No, he should have to deal with it.
No, no, I don't like that. But yeah, I mean, I think from that perspective, Biden's a good fill-in because there's no way Biden's going to be a two-termer.
Right.
You can't. He's not going to run a second term. He'll be 84 or 82 years old. Come
I
on.
don't even think he plans on finishing the first.
Yeah, maybe not. I think he does.
Trees and OD has a good memory that Adam cried at a hotel in New York in 2016. Regardless of the outcome, I want him on the air Tuesday night and Wednesday.
And then Ponder jumping in front of a subway train.
Oh my God. I didn't finish up telling my election story of 2016. That was the year I was running. I was on the ballot that year, right? And so we were at a Democratic Party anticipating. We all knew from the state level that the Democrats were in good position. The early vote was in. We knew the trends, and I was pretty confident I was going to win. I think I told Steve going in, yeah, I'm going to win. Steve's like, dude, that you're jinxing yourself. And I'm like, it's 60, like the vote's already, like the vote's in. We know the trends, right? And so the Democrats are feeling pretty good about themselves. And of course, all the Democrats are feeling pretty good about the top of the ticket. So we were all at the Aria. We were all in these, we all got rooms, and then we had the banquet room downstairs for the big party afterwards. And so a bunch of us won in Nevada. And at the top of the ticket lost. And so they're like, no, you guys got to go down there and like rally the troops and, celebrate your victories. So we're walking through these hallways, and there's just literally people like crying in the hallways, curled up in balls. And we're like, all right, let's go. Come on, we're going to get in there. It's all about states' rights. Let's go. It was the most depressing victory party you've ever seen. It was freaking hilarious.
Oh boy.
Adam, John says Adam called Taylor Byrne and said, Taylor, I'm coming with you. You know, I messaged Taylor last night at like 2 a.m. To see how he was doing, because I saw that the Czech Republic now is like blowing up on COVID. I'm like, dude, are you okay? Because obviously he escaped this country a month after Trump was elected. Sort of because Trump was elected, but not really. It's been something we've said for 4 years. Which I wanted to kind of play out to see if Biden does win, if Taylor's going to come back, but I don't think Taylor's coming back anytime soon. So hopefully he doesn't get COVID. Hopefully he and his girlfriend are safe. But yeah,
we got Germany shutting down, Italy shutting down. Yep. But they're all doing it to just to impact our election, because COVID is only a political issue.
Right.
It's not an actual thing.
So on your whole thing, like, hey, it's good, it's rock bottom, and you want to have a Trump deal with it. I mean, there is real life, Adam. So Robert's saying here, the pandemic screwed us here. We hope to be back, but for now we've lost our jobs. Both lost our jobs. So
yeah, that's
real life. Like, everyone hasn't been lucky enough to work at a newspaper or radio station or run a law firm and stay afloat. A lot of people need freaking some kind of light at the end of the tunnel. Not Trump rock bottom in year 3 of his second term.
Yeah, some of us don't think that the money you get should necessarily be tied to your income or to your job.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
We're both like, what?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. Some of us are actual socialists that actually don't think that this should impact you in that way.
Okay.
That you should still have healthcare and you should still be getting money and you should still be okay. Like, some of us actually think that. And maybe it's a good time to rethink the system as a whole.
Oh, look at you. All right.
Yeah.
Someone was asking earlier about you. You said it wouldn't be close. Let's look at the odds and see. I want to look at state odds and also overall odds. So right now, let me enlarge this. Biden minus 180, which you can see the number there, 64% chance to win. But my question is, state by state, I think I want to bet especially if Trump is the dog, I want to bet every state that he's a dog inside a plus 200. What do you think of that, Adam? Is that a solid strategy?
I mean, maybe, but I also think that, like, some of the states, I'm saying this, I know that I realize that it can be played back and used against me, but I still think even in the betting markets, we have like 2016 trauma, and we're not actually looking at what's going on. We're so terrible. And so here's the thing: in 2016, the polls weren't wrong. the polls were right, but they said, they were all within the margin of error, and they all had Hillary up a couple points. Now the one that was wrong was Michigan. Michigan was a disaster, but
What was
for
it?
the most,
How big was the
because
margin?
they weren't even polling in Michigan.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
They were like, oh, she's going to win, and she never went there, and it was easy, and it was a blowout. It was never even a contested state, and then all of a sudden she lost. So that's where it was wrong in Michigan. But for the most part, it was within the margin of error in almost every state. Nationally, it was within the margin of error. Actually, nationally, it was almost exactly right. But there's a couple places where it was in the margin of error. But if you're up 2 and you lose by 1, like that's within the margin of error. The poll was right. But we have a hard time comprehending that, oh, it was right, even though the wrong person was winning, because all polls tell you what the margin of error is. So I think we're still traumatized by, well, the polls had Hillary winning and she didn't win. But the polls were actually kind of right. And now this year, where the polls are saying, hey, this race isn't close, we're sitting here saying, like, I don't know, 2016, I don't know. Well, like, it really shouldn't be. It's not like 2016. It's not trending like 2016. But we have like this panic about what happened, and I think we have panic about what is going, like, how are they going to fix it? How are they going to fix the election and not have the actual results, the valid results be what actually stands? So that's I think that's where we're kind of like slipping up, or not slipping up. We're being very aware. We're being overly cautious about what the numbers tell us. So
there was a great 538 article day before yesterday, maybe yesterday. Days are blended together. That said that had the battleground states and basically where Biden's at, and says if the polls are as wrong as they were in 2016 for these states, this is what the outcome is. And it only flipped 2 states. And you're right, Michigan was off by like 8 points. Whatever the most recent polling they had prior to the election was 8 points off. And I think Pennsylvania was like 3 points off, or 4 points off. It was pretty big. But in where Biden is in the polling, if those are off by that much of the swing states, I think it only grabbed them Iowa. Because in 538, Florida is considered Trump ground. They're not, they already have that in the red column, but they have Iowa in the blue column slightly. They had that one switching over. And they had, if memory serves me right, I think it was Georgia, where he's actually slightly leading. I think it's like a 1.2 lead to like a 4-point loss or something in Georgia. So that was the 2 that flipped from blue to red. But otherwise, the major states, the Pennsylvanias, the Michigans, I shouldn't say major states, but the more higher electoral vote getting states didn't flip.
Well, and part of the reason that I'm saying I'm confident, I know, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I would say debating. We were screaming at each other, but somebody who's a hardcore Trump person, which is baffling to me. And what I said before the primary started, Biden is never I'm not a Biden person. I think he's a nice person. Certainly not politically, we don't line up or anything. But I said Biden should be the candidate because Biden can't lose Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin. He just can't lose those states. He'll win those states. And this is 2-3 years ago, and I still kind of feel that way. And if Biden wins those states, I don't think there's a chance. I think it's over. But now I am starting to get nervous that something's going on, and you can't trust Michigan because Michigan has a bunch of, and trust me, it's my family. It's people that are barely fringe of society people that I'm scared of. That like they've never been contacted for polls. They don't even have phones, and they're just out of the woodwork. Have never had a dime in their life, but they blame Mexicans for it for some reason. And they're Trumpers.
Okay.
So that does scare me a little bit, but I just don't think like Biden plays so well to Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. And there was a poll in Wisconsin the other day. Biden was up 17. I don't believe that poll, but he is trouncing him in Wisconsin. So hopefully that holds up. But again, you've got those states where they're not that hard to fuck with. If you suppress vote in Detroit and Milwaukee, it changes the entire outcome of the election.
Right. I guess that's part of my point as to what's going on nationally is day of election, typical voter suppression stuff isn't going to have the sort of impact that it normally would, because instead of having 50% or 60% of the people vote on election day, you're going to have 20% or 30%. You know, and you're going to have the trend lines. Like I said, I mean, in Nevada, we have the trend lines. You know, the Nevada Independent is tracking this pretty good, is compared to 2016 and 2012 as to the early vote days and what it looks like. And this year, Democrats are ahead of pace. And so there's reason to believe, as compared to 2016, when Hillary won by 2.7%. Is that what we figured out?
What, in Nevada?
Yeah, 2.7%, I think, or 2.8. Just under 3.
Yep.
If I had to guess right now, I'm going to say, I mean, some people are predicting Biden by double digits here, but I think it's going to be around six or so.
All right.
5 or 6.
To go back to some of the comments here, let's see. Someone was saying the states don't let you vote. Yeah, we got that. It's offshore. So it's, you know, states of Curacao, Costa Rica, Antigua, state of Great Britain. That's how you have to get your money down. So I'm hoping by 2024 that some states will go live with election betting. So
Brady's commenting about the Nevada Indy doing a flawed sort of analysis. The Nevada Indy has not made a prediction, just tracking. It's John Ralston, and he loves the numbers. And it's pretty simplistic. He assumes Dems are getting Dem votes, Republicans are getting Republican votes, and the Indies are splitting, which historically has been really close to the case. Whatever crossover appeal there has been has generally in the state of Nevada canceled each other out. I'll just say on the last, 4 election cycles I can think of, Ralston's nailed he's predicted, you know, when this Sunday comes, he'll give his predictions and he gets it right. He's based on early voting. And Biden's way ahead of Hillary's pace on the number of banked Democratic voters already having voted at this point in time by a lot, even if you adjust for the new voter registration laws. So, yeah, it is a simple approach, but it is proven approach, man. I mean, nobody's been able to predict with the accuracy that he has, and he said it's long from over because the GOP is really banking in some in-person voting.
Well, I like the value in Wisconsin. I especially like it in Michigan with the plus 200, and I might sprinkle a little bit just in case here in Nevada. Let's do it.
Oh, I like Wisconsin more than the Michigan and Nevada. I'll tell you that.
The upset? Why?
I think that's more likely to happen. I think there's just too much of the vote in Nevada. It's just that number is reflective of. I mean, they would have the rurals are outpacing their normal vote totals at this point, which means everybody keeps saying that there's going to be this big election day for Trump voters, but the rural voters who are largely Trump supporters, like 60-40 or 70-30 in some counties, they've got already 65 to 70% of their vote in right now. They can't have a big surge. So I just don't see how the math's going to work out unless there's Democrats voting for Trump or the Indies go 2-1 his way. I don't think that's going to happen.
Adam, would you recommend really trying to play some in-game wagering on election day? Because it was wild. It was wild in 2016, right?
So I told the story about Nevada, and I'll tell it again just for people if you're getting ready. If you do have access to accounts and you want to talk about it, early in the night, everything was breaking Trump. And obviously that's how it worked out. But the state by state, all the states started like really swinging in the live betting. And so Hillary went into the night, I believe, like minus 270 or 280 in Nevada, maybe even higher. Yeah. And at one point when Trump was winning all these early states like Pennsylvania and Michigan, they flipped it, and I think Trump was like minus $4 in Nevada or some ridiculous number.
Whoa.
And I told some of my friends who are, you know, very, very high level bettors that bet away from Nevada, I was like, lay Hillary for whatever you want. Just take that price because like the voting's done. It's not like this is going to impact how people are voting. The voting is mostly done, and Hillary is way ahead. And so they came back and took. I don't know what the exact number was. It was a very, very, very good number on Hillary because like the momentum was just so much going in that direction. So that's the kind of things to try to watch on election night. If there is like a big wave, you know, see if they're swinging some of these states, and you're like, okay, yeah, that's not going to happen.
Robert had a nice comment earlier I wanted to put up here. He says, just want to say I love you guys, especially the spots with Justin. Moved my family out of Vegas after 20 years of Texas. You'll be missed. I listened every day on my drive home forever. So thank you, Robert. Keep watching.
Awesome, Robert.
Yeah, thanks, dude. That's awesome.
That's cool.
Keep making comments.
Solid beard, too.
Keep going.
It's actually very well manicured. I like it.
Yeah.
Adam, you wouldn't consider moving? You just
From Vegas?
Yeah, that's it. You're done with the paper. Move on.
I do love Canada, but
yeah.
I think this is more. Isn't this a comment on my inability to pack lightly?
That's a good point. You are a terrible packer.
Yeah, I'm terrible. You should have seen the bag I ended up with taking to California last week for like a 36-hour trip.
Inside dope on the paper. Are you guys prepping behind the scenes stories on Adelson selling out of Vegas? I don't know about the Civil War part that he's going to fund a Civil War, but is he selling out of Vegas?
I mean, I saw the reports just like everybody else did. They were news to me.
Does that include you? Not you
No.
personally. Like he doesn't own you, but he won't sell the paper.
No, it's just the casinos. I could be completely speaking out of line here, but I believe he's raising capital to make additional casino purchases in Asia.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How big a loss?
Vancouver.
How big a loss would Sheldon Adelson be to Las Vegas and Nevada if he bailed?
I don't know.
I mean, I don't have any aim here. I'm just wondering. Like,
I mean,
would it be a terrible thing? Like, do we not appreciate some of the stuff he does?
For sure, that's the case. Yeah, for sure. I mean,
I do.
Adelson Hospital Center. Yeah, right. The Adelson schools and yeah. I mean, probably. I just don't think I'm qualified to answer that question. I'm not a direct beneficiary of any of those things. I did not get Las Vegas Sands money when I ran for office, so I don't know. I never met Mr. Adelson.
You were the one who didn't?
Not until after I won.
He's been awesome to us. So I mean, in all seriousness, as much as I don't agree with his politics, I think there's some shenanigans that have happened in the state. He's been good to us, so I appreciate it.
All right. What's going on in this game? Because I bet Fresno. So first of all, to me, Steve Adazio is the biggest villain in the conference. And I don't like to do the masking stuff, but God, I was watching for like 15 minutes, and CSU already has issues, coming off as COVID hoaxers and anti-maskers, and like the entire first half, the mask it's a chin diaper. I'm like, I don't see what's that difficult about keeping the mask on. You can speak. It's so weird.
Some of them picked the wrong mask. They picked those elastic ones that slide on the face so they can't talk. Just a disposable one leaves so much room to talk clearly.
Good.
Adam, are you frozen? Or are you just enthralled by what I'm saying?
I was just looking at you. Well, I was starting to talk. I started talking, then I let you go, and I was like,
yeah.
Wait, Adam, did you say you bet Fresno or you bet Colorado State?
No, I'm very upset because I've talked about this with apps all the time, and I get so fucking annoyed. But I had Fresno State pregame, and then it was 10-10 in the second quarter, and Fresno had a 3rd and 17.
Yeah.
And they were plus 130 on the live wagering. Right. And I was like, that's a great number. I'm loading up on this. So I actually was going to quadruple what I bet pregame on it. And I loaded up, put it in, and of course it's like line suspended, and I tried to do it again, the line suspended, and I keep doing it. And then they actually don't pick up the 3rd and 17. They get 15, they make it a 4th and 2. I'm still trying to bet it, nothing. Then they score a touchdown, and now it's like minus 200. I was like, okay, this it's just so annoying when you just can't get it in like that. And yes, Mark, I didn't say it. You're exactly right. It's exactly the place it was too. And I was steaming about it.
Is there any way I can create an account on a mobile betting app without going in person? Still no way, right?
No, but I can tell you what you just don't want to. Or you think it takes a long time?
I just don't. I mean, I don't want to go anywhere
No.
in person, but
I can tell you exactly where to sign up for it, where
Okay.
it's super easy and you don't really see anybody.
okay.
And it's not far from us. Should I say it on the air? Or should I tell you off?
Just say it.
Dude, there's a truck stop on Blue Diamond that has a William Hill.
Yeah, but you just said you didn't like the William Hill. Shouldn't
No,
I go
but
with somebody else?
But they have the most options available.
It's-
I mean,
it's-
and all of the apps do the same thing.
It's one of the best. They all lock up all the time and live.
Oh,
wagers.
dude, you're talking about that the one right there on Blue Diamond and Dean Martin, right across from the Silverton,
There's
right?
a full William Hill in there, and the guy's awesome.
That's
the
funny.
guy's great.
I had to go in there just randomly because my girls go to gymnastics right down the street. Randomly, I had to go in there, and I was like, "What the hell?" They sell everything. You want to buy some cinder blocks? They got it. You want to bet on games? They got it. They got fucking everything.
They have 2 blackjack tables and a full sports book.
Yeah,
Like, what is this?
it's fucking awesome.
It's great. But yeah,
All right.
that's where I would go to sign up. And the guy's awesome. The guy's a listener, so he's great.
Cool.
I think my brother's in here. It's a friend of my brother's too. So he's a good dude,
right.
good older guy.
I'm going on Tuesday, right before I pick up the girls from gymnastics.
Nice. You'll get hooked, dude. They have live betting on like every sporting event that happens.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's good. It's
right
fun.
now, there's like basketball games going on in New Zealand. I just logged into my app and it's like live betting on this. I was like, okay, that's not necessary, but thank you.
So Adam, you when you speak to that guy, like it's okay, like you don't get like awkward. It's good.
With the guy at William Hill.
Yeah.
Well, this last time I went in, I actually had a mask on. I was just trying to kind of hide, and then as he typed it, I was putting a deposit in, and he goes, "Oh, hey, Adam." I was like, "Oh, like how's your brother?" I'm like, "Oh, good." He's like, "How's Steve?" I'm like, "He's fine. You don't even know him, but he's fine."
I appreciate it. That's nice. I started telling the story. I started telling the story last night that my brain is full, and as a result, I refuse to meet up with anyone who sort of knows me from the past because I'm just going to freeze up and I won't know what to say.
Yeah,
because I don't remember anything. I started out like in very morbid fashion because I mentioned one of my, I don't know, he's probably like a top 5 friend. If I had rankings in high school, he passed away, and friends are messaging me, and I'm like, I don't know who he is. I just forgot. Like it's 30 years ago. I got nothing. And then I started talking about like other people reaching out to me. And I'm like, I'm not going to meet up because I don't like remember anything. And then Adam came over the top with a bunch of stories. Like it's different for you, Adam, because you're local. Like I'm 3,000 miles away and I'm older. I just forget people. They're just not in my lives. You have like high school freaking classmates come up to you, start talking to you, and you're like, I don't know what to say.
I don't know who you are.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And
Totally.
Ryan, to answer Ryan's question, it's Larry is the guy who's down there.
Dude, yeah, I had the exact same thing happen too. I can't remember shit, man. It's gone.
Really?
And dude, I got people coming into my office, and they'll like sign up, and then I'll just get chatting with them, and trying to be friendly. And I'm like,
good to see you.
No.
Again. You're like,
no. I'm like, where are you from? They're like, here. I'm like, oh yeah, where'd you go to high school? Like, dude, I went to high school with you. And I'm like, oh fuck, hey, there's the mask. I didn't know.
I've been using the mask a lot as an excuse.
The mask is great. It soothes all fucking problems, dude.
by the way, everything legal, Justin remembers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No. That's the problem. That's the problem is like all the work stuff is all full, and like social stuff that's, you're talking, I graduated high school in 97. You want to talk, I haven't seen you since high school and I'm going to remember you. I mean, yeah. I sort of look the same that I did in high school. I literally wear the same size clothes and I didn't have hair back then, same shit. I look the fucking same. And I'm like, holy shit, if this dude went to high school with me, he looks like he's 50. Like, shit.
Adam, you got to tell the real horror story about the lady who was like just not all over you in a romantic way, but just loves you, like owes you so much.
Wait, what? What do you see? I even forgot the story. I forgot the story we're talking about.
Story of someone you had a lady you're working with, and she was like, Adam,
sorry, yeah.
You don't rip on Adam.
Oh yeah. So God, I hope nobody's watching from work because I haven't really come clean that this happened. So we have a new employee at work, and we sat down we sat down like in a meeting, and I was like, oh cool, and we're like hanging out, and she's unbelievable at her job. She's great, and I actually was like honest. I was like, hey, it's really great working with you. Like you're great. It's cool to meet you and everything. And she goes, oh, that's hilarious. And I was like, okay. And then she's like, oh, it's so funny. And people were like, wait, what's going on? And he's like, and she goes, no, he introduced me to my husband. And I was like, what? Like,
Who's your husband?
What are you talking about? I was like, I have no idea. And she was like, no, remember, it was like you're one of the most important people in my life. Like, and she started telling the story, and I was like, okay, that adds up. That sounds like something I would do, but I I don't know what you're talking about. And so then I just had to pretend like I was like, oh yeah, that's right. But I still don't know. We work together every week. I still don't know how we knew each other in the past. But apparently we were close enough that I introduced her to her husband.
Yeah.
It's unreal. It's absolutely unreal. My memory is terrible. And the other one I've told this story before, but for the late night audience, I don't think I have, and I don't think Justin knows this. That the TV show TMZ,
Uh-huh.
like when they go through the stories or whatever, and there's just a bunch of guys sitting around cracking jokes about the celebrities and everything. One of them is very funny. Like I thought he was a really funny guy, and he said something on the air one night, and I was like, oh, that's great. So I tweeted at him, and I was like, oh, dude, like that was a great line, like whatever. You did great work on the show, whatever I did. And there was a time I really wanted to work on that show. Like that is true. That was my dream job, to work on it, just make fun of people and write stories. So immediately after I send this tweet, he follows me and DMs me. And I look, and the DM was like, dude, this is amazing. So awesome to hear from you again. We never thought we'd all hear from you. This is so cool. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I'm just a fan. Like, this is weird. And he started he's like, oh yeah, the boys back in Bowie. Like everybody just thought you were gone forever and whatever. So I moved when I was in 8th grade. When we were little, Justin, as you know, Steve, of course not. He's 100 years old. But when we were little, if you moved, like you just had new friends. Like there was no Facebook, no Twitter, like nothing. You were just gone. Yeah. And so I had all these friends. We left. Nobody ever heard from me again. And I never heard from them again. He was apparently one of my best friends in Maryland, and I had no clue, none, like not even the slightest idea. So he starts telling me, he's like, "Oh yeah, this guy's gonna be so excited to hear from you," and I'm like, "Who?" Like I don't know who any of these people are, but like all the stories he would tell me, he's like, "Oh yeah, we did this," and of course I'm pretending I know him, but all the stories, he's like, oh yeah, back when we went to Bel Air and we went over to here, and I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? But I pretended, of course, like I knew, but like everything he said added up. I'm like, oh yeah, that's where we played basketball. That's where I went to school. I went to Kenilworth. I went to Bel Air. Like yeah, of course, like yeah, for sure, but no clue, none. So crazy. And to Ryan's question, his name's Brian. He used to work at TMZ. He doesn't anymore. He's just a stand-up comic now. But crazy.
But my memory at TMZ.
So Steve, so he came to town and we had him on the show because he was doing a stand-up show at South Point. He actually did he headlined that Dirty at 12:30 show at South Point.
Okay, yeah.
Which by the way, if you're in Vegas, awesome show. It's a great show. Go see it. Different comics every week, free. But no, so he was headlining it, so we had him in the studio, and Steve sprung out the. By the way, the reason we have you in is because Adam wants to work at TMZ, which is not true. We're having him in because he's on the show. And he goes, well, sad news. I put in my notice yesterday before I came to Vegas.
Get out. Son of a bitch.
I threw him out.
Yeah. But then, of course, he thought the only reason that I called him in then was to get on the show, which is not true.
Great. Oh,
it's not true.
I'm so glad to hear you guys say this because I've been thinking maybe there's something wrong with me with my forgetfulness of people. It's specifically people.
Like, yeah, me too.
Somebody will be talking about somebody at work, and I'm like, who's this? And they're like, no, they worked here, and I'm like, when? They're like last year. And I'm like, for how long? Like, for like 3 years, Justin. Like, how do you not know who this person is? And I'm like, I don't know. It doesn't ring a bell.
No.
This is like,
No.
move on.
No.
You know?
It's unreal. It's unreal because I do like I remember there are things I remember. There's dumb things I know.
Yeah.
But people like no good. Actually, my memory in general, I think we talked about this, Steve, is pretty bad. Like big things I guess I remember, but like if you who won the World Series 2 years ago, no clue. I'm not even couldn't even venture a guess.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that. Like, I'm really good when I get triggered.
Yeah.
So like to the commenter's point, like on law stuff, like if one of my associates comes in and says
Right,
like,
Brady.
hey, I want to know about this or this, then I'll be like, oh, there's this case in whatever case, it's a 2004 case. Look it up. It's this name. You'll find the answer, and I can pull it out of my ass. But if like you just sat me here right now and said, okay, Justin, name 12 cases in the state of Nevada, I'd be like, I don't know. I got nothing. I don't know any cases. It's like I just ain't got shit. But when I get triggered, I can remember it, but definitely not people.
Nice. Brothers in arms, right? We have no memory.
Right. I feel so much better.
You know when people tell stories about like, oh, my third grade teacher, Mrs. Robinson, and you're like, I can't remember any teachers.
Oh, I remember all of my grade school teachers.
Really?
Every one of them. I can name them straight through. Yeah. I do remember
I don't know
that.
one. I can't name one.
What?
Not one. Well, I went to a lot of different schools.
Me too. I went to a different school every year from the grade from first grade until high school, but I never moved. Didn't move once.
What?
That's crazy.
Just kept building new schools on the way out to the desert. They did. That's how it happened.
Crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, Adam, I got to ask you because we haven't had a chance to follow up on some TV stuff.
Okay.
And I'll ask the audience. The Borat movie. Give me a rating. Yeah. The new one.
Is it a Madden rating or a 1 to 10?
Yeah, whatever you want.
Out of Madden rating, I'm going to go 92.
That high?
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought it was a bit underwhelming. It certainly wasn't as funny as the first.
No, it's still great. I mean, the first one was like 8,047.
Right.
Yeah. I know Ari wants to weigh in on Eminem slander. No, I thought it was really good. I actually thought the Giuliani scene was kind of a letdown.
Yeah.
Because it was so hyped and so talked about. But the rest of the movie I thought was tremendous. And like, just like the first one, I thought a lot of the things that are the best were like completely. I mean, I tend to think the things that I like crack up and die laughing about when I'm watching a movie are things that people don't even notice. Just like subtle lines that were just tremendous. So I watched it a second time and I was like, yeah, it's really funny. Except for, like I said, I think there was so much hype and so much talk about the last scene, and I think I understand why they did it that way because it would have been. I'll get your thoughts on that, Justin. I thought there was some legal boundaries they may have been pushing. Did you watch it?
Not yet. It's on the docket for this weekend.
Okay. Yeah. I thought the final scene they could have gone so far with, and they cut it off very, very early. And I just didn't know if they were going down a weird road legally. Maybe we could talk about that next week.
Sounds good. Gives me homework to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we got a couple things from the show we got to revisit, but Ari's like, at some point, can we talk about the Eminem slander from today? No, we can't, because we just set it up for the last 5 minutes. Adam can't remember anything, so that's why he got just violated in that argument with Xavier. You got to.
No, I didn't. No, because I didn't know where he was going to go, and then I was trying to formulate. I was like, okay, this is not even where I thought he was going with this, because he was saying
another attorney. So he freaking talked circles around you.
No, but he wasn't. But you can talk circles and not be accurate with what you're saying.
He simply asked for current, like length of career, currently or recently. What has Eminem done? Name 3 songs.
No. He said 3 songs from his recent album, and my response was the album. First of all, like what he just came out with wasn't even really an album. He's come out with a couple of individual songs that have been very good. And he's getting much more political in his art now. which I think is a great evolution as an artist that you can't really throw out like he's not making hits anymore because he's not. He's not trying to make hits right now. He made hits for a lot of his career, and then he did have a couple of bad albums in the middle. So I'll give him that. I'll absolutely concede that there was a point in his career that he was making albums that weren't that great, but then he started to go in a different direction where he's not making hits. He's making very cogent points and very solid statements about things that are not trying to make hits. He's not trying to be popular anymore. Like that's not his goal. So what are you trying to throw out? Because when he started throwing out there like, oh, this last album wasn't even popular, like he's not trying to be. So I don't even know how to come back from that. I was like, okay, this is a weird argument.
You got put in a corner, and then Marcus is claiming that Xavier's argument was weak, and that that if you had kept going, you could have won.
Well, to be fair, Marcus just hates Xavier.
Oh, he does?
Oh yeah.
I didn't know that.
Marcus's his identity is just hating Xavier. That's all he does. He just tweets every week around 2:30, just angry.
Wasn't that didn't Xavier like a month ago say that Marcus was a bot?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's what it was.
Yeah.
All right, Justin and I just sitting here. We're like, I don't know. I do know this. Everyone's got to chime in on this one. The Drake 34th birthday with the mac and cheese that had raisins and capers in it. I'm not saying I'm all about it, but I'm all about trying it. And then everyone else on the show shut it down. But there's nothing that Ari doesn't shut down.
I would be willing to experiment with the capers, but raisins, I'm just a no on raisins in general. Not in my cookies, raisins. Not my oatmeal, not in the little box. Just keep the raisins away from me.
So Justin, see if you get my point on this. If you're going to experiment with mac and cheese, right?
Yeah.
Like you're going to throw some extra things in there, some capers, some raisins. I know you don't want, but if you're going to try to get creative with it, like, don't you have to have like a fancier mac and cheese than a box craft? Like you have to go with like fancy cheese, fancier macaroni.
I'm with you on that. Yeah. You should if you're gonna be experimenting like that, it should be the mac and cheese that you pull out of the oven in the tray with the cheese off the top, that's on the top.
Right. Hold on, but here's the thing. Why can't you? Because I will do Kraft macaroni and cheese. I will throw extra cheese, my own blend. Then I will throw it in the oven, and then I will put cheese on top to get it all crisp. Why can't you dress up the mac and cheese from Kraft?
Oh, certainly you can. I mean,
by the way, you don't have the powdered crap. You don't have to put the whole thing in there. You put 3/4 of the bag in or half the bag in, and then put your own cheese in.
Oh,
that's not what he's saying. You're still dressing it up at that point. He's saying, dude, if you just throw it, you gotta. I mean, a macaroni is a macaroni, right? You can only make pasta so many damn ways, but it shouldn't just be straight box. Okay. Throw raisins in and throw some capers in and call it a day.
Dude, the mac and cheese.
I had pasta tonight that was actually in the shape of a tennis racket. It was very good.
I'll say this: like, I don't love the place, but it's a decent little spot. Chain, obviously, but the mac and cheese at Yard House is insane. It's insanely good, and like I think the rest of their food is very average, but that's really good.
You know what's really good?
Like the mac and cheese at Panera Bread, actually.
Where it's really good is there's a place, Mabel's Barbecue at the Palms. It's closed right now, but it's Michael Simon. So, and actually, Ari's getting us Michael Simon tomorrow. So I asked him the other day. He's a celebrity chef, and he's got 2 restaurants at the Palms. So he's a big Browns fan. He's a Cleveland guy, so he'll be on tomorrow. Pretty certain.
I actually just found a recipe for the Yard House one. It's got elbow macaroni, butter, flour, milk, cheddar jack, feta, sliced chicken, breadcrumbs, bacon, mushroom, salt, pepper, and truffle oil.
Nice. Real nice.
It's incredible.
I just don't like the feta. But other than that.
Oh, I'm a feta guy.
No. Michael Simon's not coming on? Damn it.
Oh, boy.
There goes that tease.
Good work, Ari.
It's Ari's fault that he told you yesterday that he can't come in.
Well, you know what? It'll be good. He's a Browns fan, so we'll get him on when the Raiders play the Broncos. So that'll work.
That's amazing.
Do you guys have any Halloween guests on tomorrow I should listen to?
Who? What, us?
Yeah.
Who should we have on?
I don't have guests.
I don't know. just asking.
Oh, Adam, I gave. We will have guests at the 3BC soon. I got to send you the. We got the drawings today.
Wow.
The design
Oh,
layout.
boy.
Let's send it over.
By the way,
Yeah.
to this, Razorback Carson Kitchen has the best of everything. So I didn't even have to
Oh
mention that.
yeah,
Dude, it's definitely my favorite restaurant in Vegas.
yep.
Left Coast not into the truffle oil.
What?
Brady says Gramalo would eat one ingredient in those 15. I am doing UNLV football this year. I am going to be I'm going to be the man in the stands because of the restrictions. So yeah, I'll be the third wheel in the football games. Who's going? Who got tickets? Who's going? Anyone?
Who wants to sell tickets?
They've got to be available, right?
I can probably work on some tickets. I can work on some tickets down the road for you, but the tickets for this one, there really were no tickets. Like none. Like almost none were actually put on sale to the public.
Right. They were all in order of priority to season ticket holder and Rebel Athletic Fund. But I figured some of those guys are going to be like, hey, I can make $1,000 per ticket off of this. I'm going to throw it up on Craigslist, see what happens. I think you can. Yeah.
Have you seen it?
I saw one person post them for $450 a piece, but I don't believe it was real because there was like 6 posts on Craigslist saying, anybody have these tickets? We'll pay $1,000 per ticket. We'll pay $2,000 per ticket.
Wow.
Yeah. So
you know what?
Person was
that's actually
listing it for $450, and I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
It's actually a good question. They may have banned resale.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're right. I'm just looking through all those sites. I can't find anything right now.
Yep.
So there's going to be 2,000 people at the game. I have a bunch of nuggets I'll give out during the game, but there's 2,000 tickets, right? How many people do you think have to work the stadium? Because they're going to have people in really, really small groups, and you're restricted to that section, and then you're very restricted in terms of how much you can move, like going to the bathroom. How many people do you think there's 2,000 fans there. How many people do you think will work the stadium on game day?
200.
200?
Yeah.
For 2,000 people?
Well, you said they're restricted. They can't be in big groups. You got to be able to serve everybody. Yeah. 1 per 10.
Adam, what do you think?
Got all these ushers enforcing these rules. You probably have 200 ushers. Shit.
I thought that was right. I thought you had to have 1 employee for every 10 people.
Hey, can I be your like sideline reporter grip? I carry your cords and shit, and then walk around and I keep them in a loop the whole time. And make sure you got enough slack, and I give it out. And I just follow you around.
Adam, do you want to explain all my equipment?
He just has like a tape recorder.
No, I have
his phone.
I have a remote mic, and I will use the phone as a backup. The problem is on the road. They were told, everyone in the Mountain West Conference was told to improve your logistics and your connectivity. Right, that most of the stadiums suck ass. So there are times I'm just not in range, and there are times I do have to actually use the phone. I'll use like a plug-in mic on the phone, do the record stuff, like halftime interviews. I'll do it. They get it in 2 minutes, but supposedly the roving mic will work. But yeah, all it is I have a little receiver that's probably half the size of a phone, and then just a microphone that plugs into it and earphones. That's it.
Yeah. Well, we can come up with some props, and I'll just have a cord that's connected to you, and I'll just be feathering it out, rolling it back in, feathering it out, and I'll just watch the game. I
will try this. I actually got accused last year by Bischoff of taking pictures of the cheerleaders all the time, and it was actually very random. Like the first 5 times he called me on it, it really was random. It was just cheerleaders in the background, but they always seem to be like stretching. I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing it on purpose, man. I'm getting the scene, and like they're just there. Well, so do you want the answer to the staff that they have to put in for 2,000 people?
Yes.
They basically have to staff it as if it was a much bigger crowd, and like Justin guessed, they have to make sure. Really, a lot of it's security and making sure from the health department. I was told there's 800 people working for 2,000. Yeah, that's what I was told. And I'll tell you this: they need more fans in the building eventually, so that they can make this work economically. They're doing it to do it, but it's not a moneymaker. Like when people freaked out about the $110 tickets, it's not a moneymaker at all. But I think they feel it's so important to use the stadium, maybe build the safety confidence and get bigger crowds. But yeah, the early part of it, they're not making money on it. This is a loss leader, to try to use the stadium and build the program. Yeah, I'm not allowed to give out the number, but that's a good way to put it. The return on investment for 2,000 fans is brutal. It's bad. So
I will say there's been a lot of people working the empty Raiders games too.
Is that right?
Oh, I'm like, why are all these people here? They have, the ushers that always stand at any sporting event you're at. There's like 2 at each entrance to the field from the stands.
Yeah.
They're all there facing back toward the stands, like waiting for something to happen. And I'm like, nobody's here. What are you doing?
Watch the game.
Yeah, watch the game. They're all looking back at the crowd, making sure nobody comes down. Now, I guess you could say you're practicing for the future, right? Whether people are there, but man, that seemed excessive.
This, by the way, we haven't really covered this story. Brady saying, "Hey, it's kind of great that the Raiders aren't there and UNLV is." Adam, did you get a comment from Mark Davis on the use of the stadium by UNLV while the Raiders are not using it?
I didn't.
So Wheeler Ramirez did. Mark Davis says there are roommates. They're our roommates there at the stadium. If they want to have fans, that's their prerogative. Whether they feel it's safe and everything else, that's their decision-making process. Okay, one, they're not in charge of any. Clearly, UNLV is not in charge of anything in terms of deeming it safe. They wanted 6,500, which seemed manageable, and the health department said you get 2,000. That seemed like a weird comment to me, like almost suggesting that Davis doesn't have fans there because he doesn't feel it's safe. Have you heard that? That's not the narrative, right?
No, he wants to have. He doesn't want to decide who gets to go and who doesn't.
Yeah. Yes. I will be doing some food features. I will eat a slice of $75 pizza.
To Brady's point, I think the Raiders are the roommate who like has the place, and then they have 3 roommates, and they tell them all it's like $1,000, and then the actual mortgage is like $1,500. So they're just making $1,500 for nothing.
Yeah. I'll have pictures. I'll have video. Believe me, I can't remember the female reporter for the Red Sox who they had her try. It was like 5 years ago when chicken and waffles were taken off, and it might have been Heidi Watney, who's like one of these rail thin, tall, attractive women, right? And probably doesn't eat stuff like chicken and waffles. And she tried chicken and waffles. I think it was on the road somewhere in the South. And I swear to God, she started gagging. She spit up the food live on TV. Like, it's chicken and goddamn waffles, honey.
I don't like chicken and waffles either.
Oh, come on? Capers and macaroni and cheese, though? I
like chicken. I like waffles. I don't like chicken and waffles.
I will eat them separately. I don't have to make it into a chicken and waffle sandwich.
Dude, you haven't had a sandwich from the spot by T-Mobile?
Talking about me?
Yeah.
A chicken and waffle sandwich?
Yeah, was it Bruxy?
Not interested, dude. I don't want that.
Oh, it's so good.
No.
Oh,
really good.
Incredible.
No, it can't. I just don't. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong.
Carmelli's so mad.
Yeah, my food takes have been suspect on this show. I'll give you that. But I don't like chicken and waffles, man. I love. I'm a syrup guy. That's the thing. I have waffles.
On some fried chicken.
I don't want syrup on fried chicken though. I want hot sauce on fried chicken.
Oh boy,
I like hot sauce.
This is a terrible way to end the podcast tonight.
Yeah, let's move on. Let's get a better take before we end.
That's it. There's no more. There's no more takes.
Sorry, everybody.
I'm a syrup guy. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. We're on at 10:30. It'll be the legend Dave Koken. Von Tobel will probably be with us as well. And I don't know who should we have as a Halloween guest. All right, who do you have for Halloween ideas, buddy? Oh, wait. Wait, is he
You know,
questioning? Is he questioning John Von Tobel's commitment to the late night podcast? Because I said probably. I said he'll probably be here.
He hasn't decided yet. He voted today. John did.
Yeah.
He did. I was very happy for him. He was very fired up. It's empowering.
The go-to Halloween guest would be like, I don't know. Could you get like Robert Englund?
Stop it. Halloween guest. It's Nevada Day. Knock
That's
it off
true.
with this Halloween guest shit. You're in the state of Nevada. It's Nevada Day.
So what do we do for Nevada Day?
Get the governor on the line.
I'm going to try to get Dave Hall from Fox 5 because he went to Nevada to Reno and he was getting shit the other day. So, but can I mention one more thing? I love the Reno UNLV rivalry, but the one thing that Reno fans annoy me on, and again, I don't really have a dog in the fight. I didn't go to school at either place, but Dave Hall was going off on UNLV and was bragging about how the academics at Reno are better. And I typed out a tweet and I was like, Dave, do you go out? All of you Reno fans go out and root, and chant like, "We're 227, we're 227," because that's what they're ranked nationally as a university. Like, what hill are you dying on? At UNLV's 258. They've actually both gotten better, but like, you're the 227th school in the country. And you're like, our academics, like, what? I know it's
yeah. I don't even think the Reno UNLV rivalry is all that great. It's all right.
No? Okay.
No, comparatively, compared to like the actual big rivalries that are out there, I don't think it's a weird thing. Like, I went to school in Oregon, so Oregon State, Oregon, the Civil War, which apparently they're going to rename. They're going to come up with something. But that's what it was called when I was there, and up until this year, it was called that. And it was clear lines of demarcation. You didn't have a whole bunch of people that went to Oregon State that lived in Eugene and a whole bunch of people that went to U of O that lived in Corvallis. Here, you have just as many people who grew up in Las Vegas and went to Reno and then did their grad school at UNLV as people that grew up in Reno and did the same thing. So I don't know. It's so convoluted. If you're a Vegas native, you should be cheering for Vegas stuff, not Reno stuff.
Well, I hope Dave does it. I think Dave's on the verge of not doing our show because of Adam. Because Adam really starts to lean in on him. So
wait, what?
I'm told it'll be nice. And I won't bring up the 227th ranked school thing with Dave. I'll be nice.
Oh, get on the show, former Governor Sandoval, who's just named the UNR's new president.
I just someone marking.
Oh, there you go.
President.
Oh, yeah.
That would go over real well.
Yeah, get him on the line.
Are you gonna do since we did Kim Kardashian's birthday trip yesterday, are you gonna do Kanye's gift to Kim tomorrow?
I didn't see what the gift was. What was it?
Oh boy. He got a hologram of her dad to speak to the whole group today.
Oh, that is weird.
It's so weird.
Really?
And she posted video of it. It's so weird.
Well, I wonder if Chris was like all uneasy and like thinking about, like I should have told him about Marcus Allen.
Good one.
And frankly, OJ too.
You should have ended that. You should have ended right there.
That's good. Andrew with the laugh out loud. All right. We'll see you tomorrow night. You're right, John. What the fuck is wrong with these people?